So let's lock some stuff down so that you don't have to look at it anymore,
Okay.
or that we don't have to click on it anymore. So you can just press Command 2 when you have something selected, or go to Object Lock. And then now I can click over here all I want. It doesn't get in my way. And so let's take a look at our Layers panel.
And I haven't grouped anything yet. But.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start. I'm just going to take this, and that's a big group. And so I'm just going to go put that all in this layer by right-clicking and going Arrange, Send to Current Layer. Okay, and then I can put that layer underneath this layer. And then I can ungroup that so it makes it easier to work with it.
Okay.
So now I can hit each one of these. Okay, so I'm going to focus on this one right here. One of the things that I noticed is that you've got this weird like scallop thing going on, whereas this comes down and like that, and so this shape needs to be part of this shape. Okay, so let me grab this one, and I see a solidly hard edge right here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, instead of starting off with this being a gradient, I'm going to start off with this being kind of a grayscale color. But there's a trick to gray where you want a little bit of a hue, right? And so I'm just going to mix in just a touch of blue, because gray isn't real, right?
Uh-huh.
White, gray, black, those are all things that we make up in our mind. Everything has some kind of hue to it.
Okay.
So that adds a little photorealism. So this is gray, and I'm going to try to choose like the mid-tone value of this whole thing, which is quite a bit brighter. So I'm actually going to come up quite a bit like that. Okay, that's about good. Take out this just a touch. Okay, so now that I have kind of this mid-tone value, now I'm going to get the shape right. Okay, so the shape of this is different than what you've got. You've got a square. Okay, you notice we have rounded edges, and it also is at an angle and then jogs up again. And so I'm going to pull this out like that, and then I'm going to add an anchor point. I'm going to pull this out like that. Okay, and that's going to be a little bit more realistic, and then I can round the edges. So I'm going to grab this one, this one, this one, and this one, and I'm using the white arrow tool, which brings up my corner widget. And so when I click on this corner widget, it'll just round that out. But it's not a ton, it's just enough not to cut you. Alright, so we'll kind of go like that. Okay, so now we've got our basic shape. Now I'm going to start. There's basically, this shape is a highlight. Underneath that, you see this shape that has kind of this gradient on it. Okay? And then outside of that, you'll see that it gets whiter. Okay? So we're just going to build those one at a time. And just build those one at a time. And so I'm going to start with this highlight shape. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my drawing modes. The lower left of your tool panel, I'm going to go draw inside.
Okay.
Okay. When you have something selected and you choose draw inside, what will happen is that will become a clipping path. And while that is going on, you can just put stuff inside of that clipping path. After you click away, you can still put stuff into that clipping path. You can't use draw inside anymore. You just have to use the layers panel, or just like double click and go into isolation mode. Okay. So I'm going to start off by kind of trying to get the shape, and it's basically a rectangle. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. Okay, so I start with a rectangle like that, and for the time being, I'm just going to make this white. Like that. Okay, so now we see that's white. It's not actually white, but I'm just going to do that so I can kind of see the colors.
Okay.
Okay, and then we see over here that it curves, goes straight, and then curves again. So I'm going to add an anchor point here, add an anchor point here, and I'm going to pull this up like that. I'm going to pull this down like that. And then I grab this, and that's a pretty sharp transition, and I grab this one, and that's a pretty gradual. Maybe a little too much. Yeah, I'm going to grab these two and just move them over to the side. Just like that. Okay, so now I have the beginnings, right? See how we've got that?
Mm-hmm.
Then underneath this, I need another shape that almost does the same thing. And so I'm just going to go copy, paste, and back. And I'm going to press the down arrow. Okay, and for the time being, I know that it is in black, but for the time being, I'm just going to make it black so that we can kind of see what's going on. Okay, and then we just make some minor adjustments. And all I'm doing right now is I'm just looking at, I'm just looking at what the shape is doing. And so I'm going to come up like this because we've got a little sliver in the side. Okay, and so that's good there. And in this one, I'm just going to delete that one. Take my convert anchor point tool, Shift C, and I'm going to pull this up like this, and this is going to come down. So this, and this will be lower. Okay, and then I grab this one, pull that up like that. Let's try that again. I'm going to take this one and move it over, and then pull that up. Okay, so now we've got that. Now you could do one of two things at this point, okay? You could add another shape right underneath here, or we could just use a gradient to do this. So I'm going to try to do a gradient to do this, but you notice that it goes from here to here almost in a straight line. It's a little fuzzy, but it's really fast. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here underneath this. You can turn this to a gradient like that. Okay, and then I'm going to get my gradient annotator tool out, and I'm going to draw, like right there is where I want my transition to be. Okay, and then all I have to do is I just have to decide what these colors are by double clicking on the color stops, and I'm going to make this almost black. Okay, and then let me get rid of this one. And right here I'm going to double click, and I'm actually going to make this also black, but then change it to a lower opacity so that it's going to mix with this color underneath it.
Okay.
Okay, and then all I have to do is I just adjust where I want that transition to happen. And if I want it to be longer, then I can pull this out, kind of like this. And if I want it to rotate, I can rotate it because it's a little bit at an angle. It's a little bit like that. Okay, so let's look at how we're looking so far. So that's starting to look like that, okay?
Oh, okay.
Right? And now, just down here, I just need to pull up a little gradient, and over here, I just need to pull down a little gradient, and I can do that with the same gradient. So I'm just going to go like this, okay? And I'm going to make this, let's make this be the full width here like that, okay? And then this one, let's go to 0. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to flip this around. So I'll go to my gradient, and there's this like flip around button. Okay, and then as I zoom out, let's just press Command 0. Okay, that happens right there. So I can kind of pull this over a little bit and kind of adjust that. And then I can take the transparency, turn it to multiply, and take my opacity and knock that down until it kind of feels about right. Once I have that, then I can just take that same shape, okay, and I can make a copy of it. And so I'm going to come in here inside of this clip group, and I'm going to grab this shape, drag it down to this button, that'll make a copy of it. I can flip it around. If I hold shift while I flip it around, then it'll do that. I'm going to put this on the top. Okay, now that's way too much, and so I can come into my transparency panel again, keep it multiplied, but let's just drop it down so it's more subtle. Okay, and then all I have to do is get out of draw inside, back to draw normal. Okay, and if you just look at just this part, you'll notice that it's starting to kind of feel
Metal.
more metal, right?
Okay.
You'll notice that this is way too light because that's way darker. And so all you have to do is just come in and just start making adjustments to the different things that you're doing on that gradient. So I can say, you know what, maybe this is more like a 70. Okay, and then I can see how that looks by clicking away. That's starting to look a little bit better. Okay, now there is a little bit of a fuzzy edge there. So if you want to, you can come in and we can grab just this guy, and we can just go Effect, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And because we're working at a really large size, you can kind of just tighten this up and just give it so it's not exactly a hard edge. Blend that down just a little bit. Okay?
Alright.
Okay. Now this one is a little bit different, right? But it's basically the same thing. The only main difference that I see is that you've got this hard edge, or this hard black right here, and then there's this reflection, and then there's that. And so all you're really going to do is you're just going to see those for what they are. Okay, and we can go, here's this, and we'll go like that. Okay, and then inside of this, we'll make it all kind of this mid-tone gray. So let's just go kind of in the middle there. Oops, gotta change it to, let's change it to this fill color rather than the gradient. There we go. And the reason that this isn't showing is because it's behind this image. So I'm just gonna put this guy underneath. There we go. Okay, so let's mix a mid-tone value here like this. Okay, now I'm not going to finish this one all the way, but I'll just show you kind of how I would tackle it. I'm going to do draw inside again. Okay, and then right here, I'm just going to make a big black bar across the top. So I'll make that black. And then I'm going to blur it. Effect, Gaussian Blur. Hit preview. Just going to fuzz off that edge just a little bit. Kind of like that. Then turn my transparency to multiply.
So this is like your wood video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then I can go copy, paste, and back. And I can pull this out a little bit and down. Change my transparency. That'll start to give me that gray. Okay, then I can go copy, paste, and back again. Pull this down a little bit like this, and pull this out like this. Let's brighten it up. So it's like that, and then we'll take our transparency to overlay and knock it back a little bit. Like that. Then I can go copy, paste, and back again. I can pull this down here like that. This here like this. And I'm going to take our gray, bring it up like this. And then copy, paste, and back one more time. And we'll take this down just inside. And all I'm doing is I'm just looking to see values and shapes. And so wherever I see it get brighter, I just put a brighter thing. Okay, so then you have this. And then all you need to do is you just take this shape, right, which is now a clipping path. And so let's take this clip group. Let's find that shape. I think it's that one. I'm going to make a copy of it, get it outside of this clip group, put it underneath this clip group, make it very dark, move it down and over a little bit, and you can start to, maybe we can make it a little bit taller as well. You can start to see how I could take several of these and stack them on top of each other, and they'll start to look like a metal band.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah. That helps a lot.
Good.
And for the watch face, like for that